Gotta hit record.
You only have one of these. Oh, this one and this one?
Yeah, should we just double check our shit?
Double check.
Go ahead.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe we need like a checklist,
I know, right?
like a pilot's checklist.
Yeah.
And hit record
And click
and the
for
lights
takeoff.
on.
Everything's good?
Everything's good.
Good morning.
The Restaurant Morning
Here we
Show
go.
with Adam and Joe.
How are ya?
You like how that kind of just flows?
Yeah,
It rhymes?
yeah, it
Yeah.
feels very natural, doesn't
All
it?
right,
It
yeah.
feels very natural.
So,
How are you?
good.
Good.
Adam Barringer, Joe Bates,
Welcome.
welcome. Industry veterans.
Okay.
We have a lot of years under our
Veterans,
belt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't get this gray hair for
Yeah.
not being around for a while.
That's true, that's true.
You know?
So, listen, our main topic today, let's talk about restaurant culture. But before we get into that, we got a couple of headlines to talk about as it relates to the restaurant industry.
Yeah, there's a couple that I thought I would touch on. The top of the news, probably, and for not a great reason, has been this E. coli breakout with McDonald's. And as tragic as it is, there's been one life lost, 50 reported
Yeah.
sick.
I thought it was up to about 76 now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Okay, all right, listen.
The mostly in Nebraska, Colorado
Yeah.
area, but they were able to within days pinpoint it to just the onions
Right.
on just the quarter pounder.
Sure.
From a specific farm called Taylor Farms.
Right.
So the technology and the tracking that's
Right.
capable nowadays, you know, it hit Chi-Chi's probably 20 years ago and 30 years ago,
Right.
I think was Jack in the Box or vice versa.
Sure.
And so for them to be able to track that down as quickly, but I thought was pretty powerful,
Right.
even though one life lost. But
Yeah.
I was told it affected a fifth of their restaurants.
Right. And they
in-
took the
in the
quarter
United
pounder.
States.
They took the quarter pounder
Yeah.
off the menu. I just read that it is now back on the menu.
Yes.
But it's
But I think that affects the whole industry.
It does.
I think, McDonald's, so Napa,
Yeah.
any industry, people are
sure.
hesitant. I mean, at the very least,
Yep.
let's not make our guests ill.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
poor service and there's poor
Right.
food sometimes, but
At the very,
I think
very
minimum.
the hierarchy of needs.
It's-
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The very
Safety.
basic is safety.
Safety.
So yes.
So
All right.
that's been a topic of
okay.
news.
And what
then-
else do you have?
And then I was just listening to how these GLP drugs, Ozempic, Wegovy, and there's several out there,
Yeah.
I guess, are affecting how America is dining and frequency of dining, their meal types. So
It's a
your
smaller
mix.
yeah.
You know, they might be splitting more options.
Right.
The portion sizes are different. And in fact, what brought it up was Smoothie King. It now has a GLP specific menu
Okay.
with 4 or 5 items that are high protein because I guess the people on these drugs are
Sure.
maybe not getting enough protein. So one of their shakes is as much as 60 grams
Wow.
of protein. But just to even create a menu specific for that group of people, it just says how powerful it is. And I think we're going to see that change our industry.
Well, I will say a couple of things
Yeah.
on that. One, we're the most obese nation in the developed countries.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the fact. The Wegovy drugs, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I mean, I read something where we have reached the most obese state we will ever be in as a country because of these drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So it is making a difference, I think, in weight loss, but is it making us healthier? That I don't know. I don't think
I
these
think that
drugs
could
have
be
been out a long
years,
time.
years
Right.
to come.
And,
I don't see anybody with a third eye walking around
Right.
yet, but
And the other
Who
thing
knows?
is the amount of money that's saved if we could save, or if our population lost 10% of its weight, the amount of money saved on airlines is going to be in the billions.
it might be time to invest.
Yeah, right.
in United or one of the others.
So, yeah. So
I-
a
I-
couple cool
Yeah,
articles.
a couple cool articles
Yep.
and things that we'll keep top of mind. Hopefully the
So,
E. coli thing is
I
behind
kind of
us.
have, I read 2 articles and they sort of fit into each other, The first one, what could the 2024 election mean for restaurants? And it talks about, first of all, restaurants employ 12 million workers, account for $1 billion in sales. I'm sorry, $1 trillion in sales, yet it's not a big deal to either one of the political parties, and therefore, the National Restaurant Association will not endorse either party's candidate for the presidential election. Now, I want to say the Republican Party, Trump mentioned, we will eliminate taxes on tips for millions of restaurant and hospitality workers. That's pretty cool.
Right.
That's something he could do. Then the Democrat Party platform is Restaurant Revitalization Fund and the PPP protection. My thought is, the Democrats are in power now, and there's still so much money in the ERTC program
Right.
that hasn't been distributed.
Yeah.
Yet we could give plenty of money to frickin' the migrants and the migrant crisis and not building a wall, and we can give so much money to Ukraine and Israel. Where's the ERTC money that many restaurants across this country were anticipating to help them get through the tough times? Anyway, enough about that.
And if that's the money that is
Yeah.
owed, is deserved,
It's right.
what a shot in the arm to
Yeah.
the industry
Yeah.
that puts more money in the pockets of
Yes.
the restaurant workers so they can go spend.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
and it's
And-
not a handout, it's
Yeah.
money that
Yeah.
is owed.
Yeah,
So
ERTC, Earned
Right.
Retention Tax Credit.
Right.
And then, so what could the 2024 elections mean for restaurants? National Restaurant Association will not endorse either candidate. And the other headline I thought was good, the
I
hard
did hear
truth.
this, yeah.
Americans don't trust the news media, and it talks about the Washington Post did not endorse either candidate, and it's kind of Jeff Bezos writing his note. He said presidential endorsements do nothing to tip the scales of an election. No undecided voters in Pennsylvania are going to say, I'm going with newspaper A's endorsement. None.
I think it did 50, 70
But no, it's
years
saying
ago.
that. But the beginning of
Times
this
are
article,
different.
yeah, it said that there's less trust in the media today than
Yeah.
there is in Congress.
Yeah.
And it's true. And this article further goes on to say that, well, let me finish that. What presidential endorsements actually do is create a perception of bias. And then they go on to say
Agreed.
that they need to build trust because people are getting their facts from unverified podcast sources.
We often
Yeah.
mix facts with fiction.
No, mixed
Not
facts
on
with,
purpose.
with really good.
Yeah, not on purpose. We
Yes.
don't. So
So yeah, some
well,
good
that's
industry
interesting,
news.
and I think another big paper on the West Coast did the same thing. I think there was
Sure.
LA
LA
Times,
Times?
and they chose
Not to.
not to endorse anyone.
And in the past, I think that
it's
they
a
are.
powerful statement.
Yeah.
I think.
I think, and they're both sort of again liberal-leaning
Right.
media outlets.
So
Anyway,
what's that say
boom.
about?
Yeah.
I
know.
They'll just be like, "Oh, we're going to stand in the corner. We're
Yeah,
going to
we- yeah,
Sweden right
yeah.
now."
We
What's that say?
it says that they don't have trust in who they have been
Trusted.
supporting
Sure.
for many, many years. So the main topic is culture. And I bring that up because I think it's one of those things in a restaurant, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, but when you walk into a restaurant that is operating at a high level, you notice from the time that you walk in, you can notice the hostess, you can notice the bartenders, you'll notice the servers. They're all kind of working, and you know that sort of symphony of how they operate, and you just get a good feel for that restaurant. Right.
And the opposite side of that is you can go into a restaurant where they're distracted and their heads down and
They're on their
there's
cell
a look on their
phones.
faces and they really want to be there and
Yeah.
and that's culture as well and you
Sure.
can feel it. You can
Yeah.
feel that when you walk into a restaurant and
both
I've felt
ways.
it before and walked out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. But it's important, and it's probably one of the hardest things to, I think, I don't say it's hard, but it really starts with a mission statement. You got to have a strong mission statement, and you have to have a true set of core values that align with the owners, the leadership team, and culture starts at the top and it flows down.
Yeah, and if there's anything blocking that flow, then it
Yeah.
can stop before it gets, all the way down to everybody in the business.
Right.
And that's not specific to our industry.
No,
I mean, look at a sports team or any business.
We kind of talked about it with the Jets.
We did, yeah.
And you see how the culture is within the Detroit Lions right now. And for so many years
Right.
they were, struggle. But with the Jets, I mean, what's up with that culture?
Well, I don't pretend to be in that locker room, but they've got some stuff going on.
They
in there,
do.
right? So,
But and we've had those issues. We've got 3 restaurants, and we didn't have a mission statement. We didn't have a core value card, and it took us a while. You and I, our leadership
Yeah.
team, to develop that and to really instill those values in our team, and we need to reinforce that every day.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's keeping the culture positive throughout our
Right.
group
Yeah.
is paramount.
Yeah.
And I think we can feel it.
Yeah. And I think the actionable tip of the day
Okay.
for restaurateurs that are listening to this is you have to have a strong mission statement. You have to have a core value card. You need to make sure that everyone on your team knows what that mission is.
They have to understand the vision.
Yes.
And it gives them a purpose.
It does.
Right? Without
Yeah.
a purpose, they're just
Yeah.
going to work.
And it needs to be part of your marketing, part of your branding, part of your hiring material. That mission statement needs to be out there where potential employees will look at that and say, I believe in that mission statement, I would like to work for that company. Or in the marketing part of it, it's like, that's the place I want to go.
Right. People, if you're having high turnover, if you can't get the right people in your building, then you need to look in the mirror.
Look in the
Because
mirror,
your culture is probably not right.
Right. Yep.
And
Yeah.
because there's good people out there.
Sure.
But people quit people.
Yeah.
People don't quit jobs.
That's right.
They quit people. So take a look in the mirror.
Yeah.
If your culture's not right.
All right.
Fix it.
Shout out, I know last time that we were in the studio here, we talked about the mushroom coffee, which
We
I
did.
still enjoy, but we also talked about it from a health and wellness standpoint, and I oftentimes think that in the restaurant industry, we don't take care of ourselves. Self-care is not front and center, and I gotta tell you, the shout out for me goes to the Oura Ring. This thing
Okay.
is awesome. It tracks your heart rate. Then when you sleep, it really tracks your sleep, and that's what it's used for. Tells you how well you slept. Tells you
You've
your
woke up a
readiness
few
score.
mornings where you wish it wasn't talking to you.
Yeah, that's after. I can tell you the amount of alcohol or wine that I drink certainly affects how well I
Sure.
sleep, and it affects the readiness score. But it's a great reminder, and I just think it's a really cool
I'm
product.
seeing more and more of them.
Yeah,
And you've had yours for a long time.
probably 4 years
Yeah,
now
okay.
when it first came out. So it might be.
I might have to check it out.
It might be your
Not a big ring
Christmas Christmas gift.
Okay, all right, Oura Ring.
Yeah.
I don't need something telling me I'm not sleeping well.
Oh, that's true. All right, man. Well, listen, I think we
Yeah,
went over some
good stuff.
cool articles that are pertaining to our industry, culture. Can't emphasize that enough. It's probably one of the most important things for a restaurant. And
It's got to be every day.
yeah,
Yeah.
and health and wellness. Boom, Oura Ring.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.